Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, Counterspy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Philip H. Lord's fictionalized version of the FBI, Counterspy. Starring mandel-Kramer and don-maclaughlin, this episode, originally broadcast June 6, 1948, it is the case of the recruited nurse.
Washington calling David Harding, Counterspy. Washington calling David Harding, Counterspy.
Harding, Counterspy, calling Washington.
David Harding, Chief, United States Counterspies, especially appointed to investigate and combat the enemies of our country, both at home and abroad, and to secure for every American the rights which are his under our Constitution.
Aunt Mary, you haven't gone yet, have you? Aunt Mary, where are you?
In here, child. What's the matter?
Oh, thank heavens. Oh, gee, I was afraid you'd leave before I got home, and I've got something for Uncle Bill.
Oh?
Wait, I'll show you. There.
A picture of you.
Of course, it's kind of glamorous, but still it looks more like me than any of those old ones you sent him.
It's really lovely.
Now, at least Uncle Bill will recognize me when he sees me for the first time.
I'm sure he would anyway.
Aunt Mary, do you think he'll look the same?
The same as what, Anne? You've never seen him.
Well, I mean, will he look the same to you?
Yes, I think he will.
2 years can change a person a lot. Look at me.
I wonder.
You wonder what, Aunt Mary?
Oh, nothing, Anne. Now, I expect to be gone until Friday, but if the boat should be late getting in, I'll send you a wire.
Oh, don't worry, Aunt Mary. It's only 4 days. I can take care of myself. I'm a big girl now.
Yes, of course you are. A young lady. Well, I'd better be going, or there'll be no one there to meet your Uncle Bill. And I don't think he'd like that.
All local and federal police officials, this is a general alarm for Rick Malone, escaped federal prisoner serving a 55-year term for bank robbery. He may be armed, is considered dangerous. He is 5 feet 10 inches tall, blonde hair and blind in right eye, left eye blue, bridge of nose broken, 3-inch knife scar along left side of face. All information about this man is to be transmitted to Counterspy headquarters. We are coordinating the nationwide search for escaped federal prisoner Rick Malone.
Counterspy headquarters, Peter speaking. Oh, good work, Foley. Give them the usual distribution. Send about 20 copies over here.
The wanted circulars printed already?
Right, Mr. Harding. They ran off an extra 5,000 copies.
Good. Any results on the woman who visited Malone?
Not so far, Chief. We've got 4 agents trying to pick up her back trail.
And what about the letters he smuggled out through that guard he bribed?
Well, that's a funny thing. As far as the guard can remember, they all went to South Africa.
What?
Cape Town, South Africa. I've wired Johnson, our agent in the consulate there, to check on it. Nothing back yet.
South Africa, huh? You alert our seaport officers?
Yes, just in case. But I don't think Malone will try to leave the country, Chief. His face is too easily identified. And bad eye, the scar, they should make it a lot easier for us to pick him up.
Well, not too easy, I hope.
What do you mean?
We recovered practically none of the $250,000 he was convicted of stealing. I'd like him to find that for us before we find him.
That water tower we just passed, Mary, means that we should be getting close to Caldwell, huh?
Another couple of minutes, Bill.
Then we should be coming to that ledge you described.
Just past that curve up ahead on the left side of the road.
Oh.
You're going through with the whole scheme, Bill.
Of course I am. How long do you think I'll be free if this face of mine stays the way it is? Why do you think I had you set up house here with that kid of my brother's?
Suppose something goes wrong. Suppose Dr. Franklin can't do anything for you.
I've read all about him. He can.
What if he suspects something?
If you played your part all right for the last 2 years, he won't. As far as he's concerned, I'll be just Bill Gordon, turning home to his beloved wife, Mary. That cute little niece, Anne.
They'll have descriptions of you all over the country by now. He may recognize you. Slow down, Bill. There's the ledge.
Slow down nothing. Hang on.
Bill, we'll go over the edge. Bill.
Did that purposely, Mary, so the cops would see the skid marks. Uh-huh. Yeah. It's perfect, Mary. I can work myself down to that ledge. And you know what to do with the car. Don't forget to leave it in high gear before you jump. I spent 3 years in a pen for that dough I stashed away. I'm not going to lose out on it for 3 hours of pain. When I get through working over my face with my knife, even you won't recognize me.
Please, Aunt Mary, don't cry.
I should never have let this happen.
Oh, you can't help accidents. Uncle Bill will be all right.
Why are they so long? Why don't they tell us something?
Miss Gordon, I have good news for you.
You'll be all right, Dr. Franklin?
Yes, it'll take a little time, but when we're finished, he'll be better than you.
Oh, when will he be able to come home, Dr. Franklin?
Well, he can go home in a few days if you get a nurse to take care of him.
That soon?
Oh, I'll take care of him.
Well, I'm sure you would, but we'll need a little bit more expert care than that. And now, if you'll excuse me, I'd like to talk to your aunt for a minute.
Oh, of course, Doctor.
Dr. Franklin, is there anything
Oh, no. I just want to clear up this point of sending him home. You see, he'll still be under my care for several months to come. His case requires extensive plastic surgery.
There'll be operations?
There's quite a few, and he'll have to heal completely between each one. He can do that just as well at home.
Oh, we'll see that he's well taken care of.
One thing more, about his eye.
Yes?
I doubt if there's any sight left, but I'll have an eye specialist look at it. Then we'll see what we can do.
Thank you, Doctor.
And this is going to be a most interesting case. Oh, by the way, about a nurse. Will it be all right if I send out a young woman who's worked with me on a number of cases?
Whatever you say, Doctor.
Her name's Jane Wilton. I think her salary is either $10 or $12 a day. I'll send her around as soon as I send Mr. Gordon home.
Here they are, Chief. The coordinated reports on the Malone escape.
You've gone through them?
Yes, I can give you a fast briefing on it.
Yes, go on. It'll save time.
Well, first, there's the general alarm and description that was broadcast.
Yes.
We got 4 reports that fit a definite pattern.
Oh?
All from diners and roadside stands.
Mm-hmm.
2 on Highway 28 and 2 on Highway 55. And the sequence indicates that if it was Malone, he's heading west and north in the general direction of Ohio and Illinois.
Yes. Well, now, what about those letters to Cape Town, South Africa that Malone smuggled out?
I just got a cable from Johnson in the consulate there. I'll read it to you.
Good.
He says, check on address here. It is commercial mail drop. For a fee, they mail letters from South Africa to any part of the world. Their records incomplete. Wiring list of 14 American addresses they forward mail to. Cable if additional information is desired, Johnson.
And the addresses come in?
Yes, here they are.
Mm-hmm. You'll have them all investigated.
It's already being done on all but 2 of the addresses, Chief.
Right.
I thought we might look into those ourselves.
Oh? Which ones?
Caldwell, Ohio, and Evanston, Illinois. They're both directly in line with the route Malone may be taking if those reports are true.
Well, it's a cinch he won't come to Washington, so we may as well get out into the field. Arrange transportation to Caldwell. We'll direct operations from there until further notice.
We'll continue our David Harding Counterspy case for Old Nick in a moment.
Old Mick was a candy line, by the way, related to Bit-A-Honey, and Bit-A-Honey also advertised on this. June 6, 1948, Counterspy on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite station. Now more of Counterspy and the case of the recruited nurse, June 6, 1948.
Now, back to our Old Nick David Harding Counterspy case.
Wilton.
Yes, Anne.
My uncle wants you.
I'll be right with him. You keep him company till I come.
I don't think he likes my company.
Now, Anne, you've got to understand. It's not comfortable being wrapped up in bandages the way your Uncle Bill is. You have to make allowances if you want to be a nurse.
I'm not sure that I do anymore.
Just because your uncle's a little bit irritable.
Oh, I'd rather be an airline hostess. Travel, go everywhere like Uncle did.
Then I'll get you anyway. Most airline hostesses are registered nurses. Miss Wilton, Mr. Gordon asked for you. Oh, I was just going into him. Now, Anne, keep an eye on that broth. What was that all about, Anne?
Oh, I was just talking to Miss Wilton.
About being a nurse?
Yes.
I think it's a wonderful idea. It'd be nice to do something useful in this world.
I suppose so.
When your uncle's better, we'll see. Maybe there'll be enough money to send you to college so you can take up nursing.
Oh, but you don't have to go to college. Being a high school graduate's enough.
Oh?
Anyway, I don't think Uncle Bill would care enough to send me to college.
Well, what do you mean, Anne, darling?
Oh, nothing.
Mrs. Gordon, Mr. Gordon would like to see you. Right away. Anne, you stay here. I want to talk to you afterwards. How is he? Splendid. He's coming along fine. Just a little bit impatient. Oh, that's good. I'll get his broth.
Close the door, Mary.
All right. What's the matter, Bill?
I'm just going nuts sitting around here.
This is your idea.
It's so dead and quiet. Worse than a pen. There, at least, they keep you from leaving. Here, you gotta be your own guard.
And you're not a very good one, Bill.
What do you mean?
Anne, you ought to treat her more like an uncle should.
Well, I can't stand the brat. I never did like kids.
You told me to get her when your brother died.
Yeah, sure. So you could set up a respectable front in this burg. And I'm not sorry I did. No one's going to connect a nice Mr. and Mrs. Gordon and their lovely niece with Rick Malone.
I thought we were forgetting Rick, burying him.
Of course we are. What do you think I'm putting up with all this for?
But the burial is only skin deep. Is that it?
What?
Nothing. I saw Dr. Franklin.
Yeah? What'd he say about the eye?
He's going to start on it next week.
Well, can he match the color? Am I a good one?
He says he can.
Oh.
Something about restoring the color by tattooing.
No, don't tell me. That part I know. Read about it every day for 3 years. How we could make a bad eye look just like a good one by tattooing in the color.
Is that why you picked this town? Because Dr. Franklin practiced here?
Sure, of course. You know, after he does that, maybe we can pull out. And that's the big thing the cops will spot on me, my eye. With that fixed, we can blow this burg, start enjoying that dough.
Enjoying it?
You bet. Yeah, I'll make up for these 2 years that you were buried in this hick town.
All right, Bill. Only you're making up for the wrong years.
Looks like we're on the right track, Mr. Harding. Those letters from South Africa went to a Mrs. Mary Gordon and her niece Anne. They supposedly came from her husband, Bill, who's been abroad for 2 years.
2?
Yeah, I checked. Malone was in the pen for 3, but Mr. Gordon just came back a few days ago.
Did you see him?
Sure.
Well, was it?
Chief, for all I know, he could be a dark horse candidate. His whole head is wrapped in bandages. Nobody in this town has seen him. He was in an automobile accident just before he arrived.
Yeah, that'd be a nice cover-up for plastic surgery.
I checked with the local office of the Highway Patrol. There were skid marks on the hill road.
How about the car?
Pretty thoroughly banged up, but still in high gear. Then I talked with the ambulance boys who had to remove Gordon from the ledge. They said his face looked like it had been through a meat grinder.
Who's the doctor?
Dr. Carl Franklin.
Franklin? Oh, isn't he the plastic surgeon, the one who specializes in the new method of hiding scars by tattooing?
Might be, Chief. I don't know anything about that.
What about Mary Gordon?
There's no good description of the woman who was with Malone, so I've wired the prison to send along a guard who could identify her.
Oh, good. And check with the state and immigration authorities on the Gordon passport.
Right.
You know, I'd like to get a look at Mr. Gordon.
Well, we can hardly go in and rip off his bandages just on suspicion. I could speak to the doctor.
No, I'd rather not tip our hand. Is Gordon at the hospital?
No, he's home. There's a registered nurse taking care of him.
Nurse, huh?
Yeah, but asking her would be the same as asking the doctor.
Well, perhaps not, if we didn't ask her directly.
What do you mean?
Do you know if she was in the Army during the war?
Well, I think so. I could find out.
Yes, do that. Find out what outfit she was with, who she knew in it, and everything you can about her Army career.
What for?
Because you're going to pose as an ex-member of her outfit. Take her out, talk about old times.
We may be able to parlay your conversation into a positive identification of Malone.
This has been a wonderful dinner, Mr. Peters. I'm glad you called me before you left town. I don't know when I've enjoyed myself so much.
Well, reminiscences are always fun, Miss Wilton.
Well, it's good to know that everyone in the 97th Evacuation Hospital is making out so well.
Well, you seem to be doing all right.
That's an understatement. There are more nurses now than ever before in the country, and still there aren't half enough to take care of all the work there is.
Don't tell me you have to go back on duty again tonight.
Oh, no. The patient I'm taking care of is a lovely niece. She pinch hits for me nights.
Oh?
I'll make a nurse out of her yet.
Not afraid of competition?
Competition? Heavens, no. The more the better. It just makes it easier all around. Oh, but I'm not keeping you from anything, am I?
Well, I have to be leaving soon. Oh, by the way, I knew there was something I forgot. I've got some pictures here of the old 97. I took them after you left the outfit, but you know some of the people, and I thought you might like to see them.
I'd love to.
Well, let's see now. Here's one of Craigie.
Mm-hmm.
He's gotten a little fatter since he's out of uniform.
Oh, he's not the only one. Oh, that's Doris. Still as blonde as ever.
Yeah?
Oh, for heaven's sake, this picture.
Huh? Oh, that one. He's just a friend of mine. He wasn't with
I know. He's my patient.
What?
Of all the coincidences.
You mean you know Bill Gordon?
Why, certainly. He's the case I'm on now. Oh, of course, since the accident, he's changed, but I recognize the picture easily.
Well, what do you know?
Your having his picture is somewhat reassuring. His attitude's a little, well, gruff. But I guessed it was just the accident. I'll have to tell him about this.
Tonight?
Oh, it can keep until morning. I'm off duty now.
Well, maybe I'll stick around and see him myself.
You know him well?
Not as well as I'd like to. I'd better arrange for hotel accommodations if I'm going to stay over. If you wait, I'll see you home.
Don't bother. I don't live far from here.
All right. And thanks for a very interesting evening.
Come in. Oh, Mrs. Gordon. Is he awake?
Yeah, of course I am. What do you want?
I'm sorry to disturb you. I didn't see you standing at the window. I forgot a book I was reading and came back for it.
Get it.
Thank you. Oh, I thought you'd be interested in knowing there's a friend of yours in town.
What?
A friend? Yes, I had dinner with him. We had mutual friends. He had your picture in his wallet.
My picture?
What was his name? Mr. Peters. He said he'd probably call tomorrow.
Aunt Mary,
Shut that kid up, Mary.
Well, please, Miss Wilton, stay with Anne for a few minutes. I want to talk to my husband.
Certainly, Mrs. Gordon.
You know what this means, Mary?
Yes.
Coppers, they traced me. I don't know how, but they did.
They always will.
Got to get out of here.
What's the use, Bill?
I'll tell you what's the use. 3 years of stir. I ripped my own face. I figure everything so I can enjoy that $250,000. I'm going to do it if I have to kill half the cops in the country.
I was hoping you might forget that money.
What?
That you might like this kind of living with the kid and everything.
Oh, you're nuts. Hey, you're talking like some Gingham and Rose's house for all.
Why not? I've been living like one for the past 2 years. Oh, Bill, why don't
Shut
you
up. Shut up. A car just stopped outside.
Bill, if you gave back the money, maybe they'd...
2 guys. They're law. You can smell them from here.
You can't...
Talk. I would have gone except for your talk. Miss Wilton, Anne.
What are you going to do, Bill?
You'll see. I'll see, too, if these coppers start coming up that walk.
Now, back to our Old Nick, David Harding Counterspy case.
Looks quiet enough, Chief. Just a nice suburban home.
Yeah. Well, as long as he's not expecting us, let's go.
Look, Duck, Chief. Over here, behind this tree, Peters. Thought he wasn't expecting us.
That just shows how wrong you can be.
It's going to be a tough one.
Listen, coppers. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Malone. Better give yourself up.
I've got 1 good eye, 2 good guns. Don't worry about me.
Malone, we're United States Counterspies. We'll have a squad of men out here in 5 minutes. You haven't got a chance of getting out of there.
I make my own chances.
June 6, 1948, Counterspy on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. The story about how Counterspy came about and Phillips H. Lords we'll talk about after the break. We'll have, of course, the conclusion of Counterspy following these messages from your favorite radio station. Just going to take a minute here to tell you about the big savings going on now, the clearance sale at mypillow.com. And you know, I've talked about how in my office I have a pair of my slippers, and they're really comfortable, and they're on clearance right now. The mypillow.com slippers, $25 a pair, limit 10. And I would buy 3 or 4 more pairs. Unfortunately, they're out of my size. They also have sheets, pillowcases, clothing items, all on special right now. Go to mypillow.com, click on the clearance tab at the top of the page, use my promo code Wyatt, or call 1-800-928-4715. Limited sizes remaining in the MyPillow slippers, limited colors on other items. mypillow.com, clearance tab, promo code Wyatt, 1-800-928-4715. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. For 6 months, Phillips H. Lords produced a program back in the 30s called G-Man. Well, and got a lot of help from the FBI on the show. But it seems that J. Edgar Hoover did not like the loud, raucous nature of the show, and so Phillips H. Lords and the FBI quit working together. The show would then be rechristened Gangbusters. And now you know why in the 1940s, I believe it was 42, that Phillips H. Lords would roll out this program, Counterspy. Let's get back to Counterspy, June 6, 1948.
Now get it straight. I got 2 dames in here, and there's your stooge top 2 and my darling little niece. I'm coming out with both of them. First move you make, I kill them. You hear me? I kill them. Now take it from there, copper.
You're crazy, Bill. You can't do it.
Shut up, Mary. You're out of this now.
Aunt Mary.
Mrs.
Go on,
Gordon.
start moving, you two.
I won't let you do it, Bill.
Get out of my way, Mary.
No.
Okay. Come on, you start moving.
Bill, don't.
So help me, if you two don't move, I'll kill you right now.
Aunt Mary, no. No!
Mrs. Gordon, don't.
What?
Goodbye, Bill.
How is she, Chief?
Not good.
What about that girl, Ann? She didn't know anything about it at all, hmm?
No.
Is she really Malone's niece?
Yes? Only Malone's real name actually was Gordon. He planned to kill the character of Malone and live off the stolen money as Gordon.
Why all this elaborate front involving the kid in it?
Well, Dr. Franklin is one of the few men that could treat Gordon's eye so that it wouldn't give him away.
Oh?
Mary Gordon spent 2 years building up respectability so that Franklin would have no hesitation in treating Gordon.
But she liked the part she'd been playing more than the part she'd been living.
Enough so that she resisted Malone to protect the nurse and the girl. And when that wasn't enough, she used his second gun to kill him.
Mr. Harding, will you come in, please?
Of course, Miss Walton.
She wants to talk to you.
Please, Aunt Mary, don't talk. Just rest.
Mr. Harding, the money Bill hid, there's a reward for it.
By the insurance companies.
Would Anne get it?
I don't know.
Please, Aunt Mary, don't talk. I don't want anything but you.
Bill, in his gun, there's a paper. It tells about the money.
No, Aunt Mary. No, I won't touch it. I don't want it. I want you.
You know, I can't promise anything about a reward, but...
I don't want to leave her alone.
Mrs. Gordon, don't tax your strength. I promise you she'll be all right. I owe you. Well, I'll look out for Anne. She'll be all right. I swear it.
So will you, Aunt Mary. So will you.
I'll see that she goes to school. I promise you we'll stay together.
Aunt Mary! Aunt Mary!
Miss Welton, you'd better take her with you. Peters will drive. I'll wait for... Well, I'll stay here. And now we're happy to present the First Army Surgeon, Brigadier General Guy Blair Dennett.
I'd like to talk with our young women who will be graduated this month from secondary schools all over the country. And I'd like to have your mothers and dads listen too, because this concerns your future and the future health and well-being of America also. We here at the First Army are proud to speak for the National Student Nurse Recruitment Program and its campaign to enroll 50,000 student nurses into civilian hospitals this year. I can tell you that the need is great, that while more young women are entering the profession than ever before, the patient load in our hospitals has increased faster than the available supply of nurses. I can tell you from my own observation in war and in peace about those things that set a nurse apart from the young woman who is content with just a job. If you've ever watched the capable hands, the courage and the clear mind of the nurse as she ministers to a child, to a soldier brought from the battlefield, to the man or woman who is helpless, you will know what I mean. So I say to you young women, consider seriously the many spread opportunities in nursing and the opportunity to work with those who are making medical history.
Thank you, General Dennett, and our appreciation to the American Hospital Association and to the Advertising Council for their cooperation.
Tonight's David Harding Counterspy case was dramatized by Palmer Thompson with music by Jesse Crawford and featured Mandel-Kramer and Bryna Rayburn. David Harding Counterspy is a Phillips H. Lord production originating in New York for the makers of Old Nick and Bitter Honey candy bars.
June 6, 1948, Gangbusters on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, now part 3 of the 5-part yours truly Johnny Dollar story, The Indestructible Mike Matter, Mike being played by Howard McNear. This episode from June 6th, 1956.
From Hollywood, it's time now for...
Johnny Dollar.
Huh? What?
You're John Wesley Cosgrave, aren't you?
That's right.
Well, my name's Johnny Dollar. I'm an insurance investigator.
Oh, of course. I've been expecting a call from you. Or at least from somebody like you.
What's that supposed to mean?
I expect you're interested in why I've insured the life of a Bowery bum for $50,000.
You bet I am. I want to see you.
Why not? Anytime. Only it won't do you any good.
Tonight and every weekday night, Bob Bailey in the transcribed adventures of the man with the action-packed expense account, America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar, location New York, New York, to the Lakeside Life and Casualty Company. Following is an accounting of expenditures incurred during my investigation of the Indestructible Mike Matter. Expense account item 9, 10 cents, the phone call to John Wesley Cosgrave from my dingy little hotel on the Lower East Side. Item 10, 270, taxi uptown to see Sergeant Randy Singer, Detective Division, 18th Precinct.
You get back to that Glad Hand rescue mission in time? After all, when the lab boys discovered that so-called whiskey was almost pure wood...
By the time I got there, Randy, the poor old coot had drunk nearly half the bottle.
Oh, that's too bad. Well, I better arrange for him to be hauled down to the morgue.
Uh-uh.
Old Mike's still alive?
And happy.
Oh, that's It's impossible.
You don't know the half of it. A week or so ago, somebody stabbed him with an ice pick just below the heart. Result? He said the scar itched a little bit. 2 days ago, somebody drove a couple of .38 slugs through him. He said it gave him a slight twitch in his side for a few hours.
Johnny, come on now.
Now he goes and drinks nearly half a bottle of wood alcohol.
Poison.
Result? A bit of a headache.
Indestructible Mike.
Indestructible Mike.
Where is he now?
Locked up in my room at the Brakely Hotel, with orders to eat the groceries I picked up for him and to let nobody in.
Good.
But whoever's trying to get him isn't going to give up. Hey, did you dig up anything on the beneficiary of his $50,000 life policy? Cosgrave?
Only enough to scare you to death. Listen to this. John Wesley Cosgrave, formerly known as John W. Gordon, John Dutchy Gordon.
What?
Alias Skippy Grant, alias Dutchy Smith.
Wait a minute.
18 arrests, but only one conviction. Back in 1938 for possession of narcotics.
Randy.
Ever hear of Murder Incorporated?
Oh, sure, but this...
Apparently they had a subsidiary. Apparently your friend Gordon, or Cosgrave, or whatever you like to call him, was one of the big shots in it. But outside of the narcotics bit, the department was never able to really pin anything on him.
But this guy's address is... Here, let me see.
621 East 49th Street.
Yeah, that's not only a respectable neighborhood, but pretty plush.
That's right.
Well, how recent is his record? What's he doing now?
Last pickup was in 1944. Numbers game and bookmaking. Charges dropped for lack of evidence.
Then, apart from the record, is he still in the rackets?
He is. Nobody can prove it. Like in the old days, he masterminded and let somebody else do the dirty work. It's listed here as a, quote, retired, unquote.
Well, my money says he's still in business.
Well, if you can prove it, the department and the DA's office will love you dearly, but I don't think you will. Every time we dragged in a stoolie who could give us what we wanted, something happened to him.
Like what?
Jump bail.
Well, you should have known better than to let him have bail.
One of them poisoned in his cell in the Tombs, one breakout, and his body was found in the East River, even one suicide.
Like to bet I can't tie him in with these attempts on Mike Flynn's life?
Well, now, that's something else again. Maybe it's something we should have.
No, hands off, and I mean it.
All right, don't get testy about it, John.
I like the old guy, and anybody who tries to hurt him has to answer to me. And somebody's tried. Expense account item 11, 165. Cab fare to the Smart Modern apartment building at 621 East 49th, where the doorman announced that Mr. J. Wesley Cosgrave was expecting me and to take the elevator to apartment 11B.
Come in, Mr. Dollar.
The apartment was expensively but tastefully furnished with overall carpeting that fell 1.5 inches thick. Several original oils by famous contemporary artists hung on the walls. But it was the man himself who really seemed out of character with the rundown Randy had given me. He was 6'1" or 2, built like a man who spends his odd hours in the gym. Quick, gray eyes, his hair slightly gray at the temples, and his tailor was a master.
Do you like it, Mr. Dollar?
Huh? What?
That is a genuine Picasso you're looking at. And I consider myself very fortunate to possess this original by Salvatore Dali.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I'm sure you'll appreciate the excellent view of the city from these corner windows.
Yeah.
I must have the best, Mr. Dollar. Only the best. Oh, sit down, please. May I pour you a drink?
No. No, thanks.
I suppose you're wondering why I decided to buy old Michael Flynn the life insurance policy of which he's so proud.
I am.
Well, it's really very easy to explain. You see, I was born and brought up in the Lower East Side, Mr. Dollar, in deplorably poor circumstances. My early life was a never-ending struggle for survival and for whatever questionable sort of education I could glean from those about me, many of them criminals, who were my only companions.
That's all very touching, Mr. Cosgrave.
And I'm afraid I did little to lift myself out of the gutter until one winter night, hungry and broke, I wandered into the Helping Hand Rescue Mission.
Yeah, I understand you still go around there now and then.
Oh, yes, I do, in the hope that somehow I can help the poor unfortunates there the way the mission and Daddy Bill helped me. Repay some of the debt I feel I owe.
Is that the only reason?
What do you mean, is that the only reason?
You've given jobs to some of those poor unfortunates from time to time, haven't you?
Oh, yes, I have.
What kind of jobs?
What business? That's hardly a concern of yours, Mr. Dollar. I've contributed much to the mission. I've tried to make life easier for some of the deserving habituaries of the mission.
What?
It's the least I can do after so much was done for me. In the case of Mike, why, his greatest desire in life was to be the proud owner of life insurance. Why, I don't know.
I do. Because you sold him on it.
That's a lie. That's a dirty...
Is it? Then why make him name you as beneficiary instead of the mission or some other deserving cause?
That, Mr. Dollar, was his own idea. And since it made him happy, I didn't protest. I suppose the real reason for this particular desire was his feeling that it might give him dignity.
Yeah. Now tell me something. Where does all your money come from, Dutchie?
Dutch? Who told you that? Nobody calls me Dutchie no more, not you or nobody else. Them days are over. I'm respectable, even educated.
I wonder.
Look at my record. I haven't been on the blotter since 44, and that was a bump. Mr. Dollar, I make no pretensions about not having a past. During Prohibition and later, I made millions. Yes, millions in rum running and the policy racket as a betting commissioner.
How about narcotics?
Sure, there was hardly a caper in this town I didn't have a finger into, and I was smart. I pocketed the profits, not my boys. That's why I can afford to be retired and live decent. And I'm going to keep on living this way.
You were lucky some of those boys, that mob of yours, didn't rat on you.
Yeah, but thanks to a couple of convenient rub-outs that I had nothing to do with, you understand, I managed to stay clean with the law.
And now you're as pure as the driven snow.
Dollar, if this was the old days, you wouldn't even live long enough to regret what you're implicating, you think.
Which makes me dead sure I'm thinking right. I don't know how much money you've got socked away from those old days. I don't care. But from what you've just admitted...
To you, Dollar, not to any judge or DA.
Right. And I'll never believe that a clever mind like yours, smart enough to keep you out of the pen all
Oh,
those years.
flattery won't get you nowhere.
I refuse to believe you could turn down a chance to make a crooked buck. I don't know what kind of jobs you sent out those poor suckers from the mission on, but the fact they never came back makes that look pretty bad.
You can't
And along
prove it.
came Mike Flynn, poor old alcoholic Mike. Where the talk of insurance came from, I don't know, but it was too good to pass up. Insure his life for $50,000, have him name you as beneficiary, give him a few dollars so he could spend his last days in a happy alcoholic haze, then rub him out and collect the 50 G's.
Listen, Dollar, if Mike gets knocked off, neither you nor anybody else is going to be able to tab me with it. And one other thing.
Yeah, what's that?
As a friendly piece of advice, if I was you, I wouldn't even try.
Is that a threat?
Oh, Mr. Dollar, you've made a miserable host of me. Come, let me pour you a drink, the finest 25-year-old Scotch. And we can talk of pleasant things.
For some reason or other, I did have the drink with him. But he knew what was in the back of my mind, and I'm afraid I knew what was in the back of his. Something along the same line as a couple of convenient rub-outs. Once or twice his veneer of education slipped, but all in all, he made a fair conversationalist. Finally, I left. And all the way down to the street, I kept wanting to look back to see if I was being followed. Somehow, somewhere, there was a way to get this Cosgrave. But I could see it would have to be through someone else, someone working for him. And whoever that might be could very well be out to get me first. Or Mike. Item 12295, taxi back to the Brakely Hotel, where I hoped the old boy was still locked up in my room. He was.
Oh, well, Johnny. My, I was beginning to wonder what had happened to you.
Oh, hey. What was the matter with that food I left with you? You hardly touched it.
I had enough. It was kind of dry, though.
Kind of dry. There's a container of coffee there.
Yes, but coffee just doesn't seem to quench my thirst.
Oh.
I wish you'd let me bring the rest of that bottle along.
That wood alcohol? Any more of that would have killed you.
Oh, yeah, it did have a kick, though, didn't it?
Oh, I don't know how you lived through it. Well, look, now I want some lunch. And, Mike, I'm going to take you along with me.
Oh, that'll be fine. Could I have maybe a little drink, too?
Oh, sure, you can have one.
Oh, that's nice. Good. Of course, the size of the drinks they serve nowadays.
No, just one now. Come on.
Oh, that's fine. One will be... See, there's a lovely saloon just around the corner, you know.
Come on.
Even sandwiches for those that want them, I understand. On these stairs. Maybe we could just bring a bottle back with us to your room if we are going to come back.
Sweet, funny old soul. I loved him. And I knew that without me, he'd be a dead one so fast. So far, the attempts on his life had been made by persons unknown. Unless the mission. Daddy Bill. Could Daddy Bill be somehow tied in with Cosgrave's operations? I wondered. I paid the check. That's item 13285, and we started walking to the Glad Hand Rescue Mission along some of the back streets. I wanted time to think it out, if I could think, over the incessant, pleasant shadow of
I'm
my...
really enjoying life now that I have money now and then. Why, sometimes I get on the subway and I just ride all over town all day long.
Yeah, you told me.
See, why don't you try that sometime, Johnny? It's really say, there's a bar there on the corner. Why don't we just pop in?
No, let's pass that one.
John, why do you feel that you have to look after me this way?
You know darn well why I... Hey, watch that curve. Why I'm looking after you. It's because somebody's on... Mike, look out! Mike, listen to me.
Hey,
can you hear me, Mike?
What happened to the...
Hey, mister, get a cop, an ambulance.
You mean for him or what's left of him?
Yes, hurry. Well, what's the matter with you?
Use your eyes, buddy. It's too late.
Now, here's our star to tell you about tomorrow's intriguing episode of this week's story.
Tomorrow, somebody's going to have to pay for what's happening here. Yes, that's a promise. From yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, starring Bob Bailey, is transcribed in Hollywood. It is produced and directed by Jack Johnstone, who also wrote tonight's story. Be sure to join us tomorrow night, same time and station, for the next exciting episode of Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Roy Rowan speaking.
Quite the story. The Indestructible Mike Matter and Howard McNear playing it to the hilt. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, June 6, 1956, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Visit our webpage, classicradio.stream, where you can stream our shows on demand, find a list of places where our podcasts are available for download. You can also find our social media links there, and you can also buy me a coffee. The Buy Me a Coffee money will helps us to acquire additional classic radio collections and helps us maintain our distribution channels. That's classicradio.stream, classicradio.stream. Thanks so much for making us a part of your day. Tell all your friends the greatest radio shows of all time are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.